Howdy Shopware. I've done it again. I brought home another project. So as you can see, it is missing a leg, which fortunately I have. It was sitting on top of it. So I do have the missing leg, and as you can see, it looks like it has been out in the rain or in the elements. The front, and you can see the sides, there's this mess all over it. The back actually looks pretty nice. Look here, it's a Historian Clark piano. I looked up the serial number from about 1958.
I'm going to walk you through all the things I did to restore this piano. This grand total cost on this was $15. So I fixed some blushing, I cleaned it up, glued a leg back on, I removed some Sharpie from the keys, and replaced some of the parts to it. So let me show you how I did all that, some tips and tricks to get all that done. All right, let's get into it. First, you have to bring the piano home. So we threw it in the back of the pickup truck and just loaded it and unloaded it. No fancy tricks, just the two of us. Here I accidentally get his toe, as my father-in-law, got the end of his toe there. But other than that, no one was harmed in the moving of this piano. It really wasn't too horrible. We just kind of did the process you see there. That's how we loaded it. Tipped it up on one edge and got it on, and then unloaded it in the same manner. So other than that bit, it really wasn't too horrible. It is definitely heavy though.
I've just been cleaning this section here to see what happens. All I'm using is a damp cloth, damp paper towel, just rubbing it with the grain. And you can see this is after rubbing it for a few minutes, and this is what it looked like before. Kind of hopeful that just a good cleaning will get at least the majority of this white stuff off.
Here I am reattaching the leg. So the first thing I wanted to do was just test fit it. So I slid it on there to try to see how it would match up to the existing piece. And what I found after test fitting it a few times was the best way was to kind of slide it up from the bottom. Then I applied some glue, just some good old wood glue, and then I attached the piece. So here I'm just attaching it, and then I'm going to squeeze it. Then came the tricky part. So I tried to clamp it, that didn't work. Then I tried to strap, that didn't work either. And so finally I resorted to duct tape. Good old duct tape. So I just wrapped it around there as tightly as I could to get it to hold in place. And I thought it actually worked out great. Because of the curve of this thing, I really couldn't think of any other way to try to get it to attach.
And here's the leg after the glue is dry and I removed the duct tape. Thought it turned out really good. Feels really sturdy. That glue is really strong, and I mean there is certainly this little seam here, but I think it looks pretty good. Here's the piano after I've scrubbed it with a sponge and water and just a towel to kind of dry it and kind of help scrub some of the areas as well. And after doing that, it got a lot of the kind of yellowish stuff, and what you could see that's left, and parts of it looks pretty good, but then you have parts where there's the white stains, the white spots there, they call that blushing. And then you can see there's other areas like this where the lacquer, the finish is just gone completely and you're just kind of down to the raw wood. But definitely that yellow stuff is gone and wasn't too hard to get off. Just required a little bit of scrubbing all over it. Next step is going to be, I'm going to use this stuff here, which I saw another YouTube video. This No Blush Plus Retarder only works with lacquer. So it's designed specifically for lacquer. So if you don't have lacquer, a lacquer finish, then don't use this. As I understand it, this No Blush Plus Retarder is only good on a lacquer finish. And if you use it on something like a polyurethane, then it can ruin it. So you want to definitely use this only for lacquer from what I understand. That's just trap moisture basically. And so this No Blush helps get it out. So spots like that and spots like this. I wanted to show you what this No Blush can do and just do a little demonstration. So here's a good spot here to show you where there's that blushing here, this trap moisture underneath the lacquer. So you just spray some light coats of this on it. See it disappear. And then this, you can see there's kind of hard to see in the video, but it's a shiny spot here. You just let it dry, and then if you need to go back and do it, you know, another light coat, you can do another light coat, but it just disappears like magic. Here's another area you can see a lot of this white underneath, this blushing underneath. So we'll see how well it works on that spot. Yeah, it works pretty good. This stuff is like magic. Yeah, we'll hit this spot. Let's try that. This might be something other than blushing, actually. Well, no, it seems to be getting a little bit lighter. This may take a few passes to get it to come out. So I've done the no blush, sprayed it all over, and it's been drying for about 10-15 minutes or so. So just wanted to show the results of that. Looks much better. The only places kind of what you're seeing here is where the finish, the lacquers actually come off entirely. But all of that blushing is gone. It's fantastic. Even that spot, there's kind of see, where was it? I think over here, there's a pretty dark or pretty obvious white spot, and that's mostly gone. You can kind of see some remnants of it, but that's really just the where the lacquer's gone entirely. But man, this no blush stuff works great. I am amazed. It looks so much better. Give you an overview of it here. The sides were looking pretty good. There wasn't much blushing there, except for kind of towards the top and on the leg. Now, I did want to point out one thing, this spot right here. So there was some blushing here, and there's a lot of that yellowish stuff, and then a lot of that blushing. So here it got it off really nice, but down here when I wiped it, it actually just took the finish off too. I think that's because there was so much damage here that it had already kind of eaten away at the lacquer. So it did actually remove the finish on it in this spot. But again, I think that's just because it'd been there so long. But I haven't seen it do that anywhere else where the actual stain and finish came off. But it did in that spot. Yeah, looking really good. I'm really impressed with this no blush stuff. Really cleaned it up nice. On the keys here, someone had written in what appears to be Sharpie on the keys. They'd numbered it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And so I was trying to figure out a way to get that off. I tried scrubbing, soap and water, a few cleaners, nothing seemed to work. Got on YouTube, and I'll put a link to this video in the description. A guy shared his tip for getting it off, which was this right here. 91% isopropyl alcohol. And it worked. It definitely required a little bit of scrubbing. This had probably been on here for a while, and was, you know, had been absorbed into the keys, the plastic. It took a few minutes of scrubbing, but eventually it did come off. So that was a great tip. I really appreciate that. Had no idea that isopropyl alcohol could clean Sharpie off, but there you go. Another thing I'm going to replace here are these little rubber pieces that when you pull this thing down, that's what it rests on. As you can see, maybe, but this is a little nail, so the actual rubber piece was missing, and some of them were kind of coming apart. So I just used one of these guys, a plastic putty knife, to scrape and break off the ones that were coming apart already. And then you can just buy a bag of these things right here off of Amazon to replace them. So you just pull out the old ones and pop on the new ones. Here is the final product. I thought it turned out really great. Got all the yellow stuff off, got a lot of that blushing, that white spots off. Got the leg reattached. I replaced these little rubber bumpers. And the other thing I did, which I haven't talked about yet, was there was some Sharpie on some of the keys here. They numbered it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I got those removed. I'll put it side by side here so you can see the before and after. But man, what a difference. A little cleaning, a little elbow grease made. So I think all in, I spent nothing on the piano, $0. I spent $8 on the no blush retarder to remove the blushing. And I spent like $8 on the little rubber things, the rubber feet dills. And so I'm about $15, $16 in. So not bad, my $15 piano. Bye.